If you've been trying to lose weight, but your body keeps holding onto that fat no matter what you do, there's a good chance cortisol is the reason. And it has nothing to do with willpower. It's literally blocking your biology against you. So in this video, I'm going to break down the surprising ways cortisol slows fat loss and the real fix almost no one talks about, especially the part that affects your belly the most. All right, let's dive into something that almost every woman in midlife eventually bumps into, but hardly anyone truly understands. Now, we're talking about cortisol, the stress hormone that can completely override your good intentions, block fat loss, increase cravings, and create that stubborn menopause belly fat that feels impossible to get rid of. And today, I'm going to break this down into 3 simple steps that will make everything finally make sense. So what is cortisol really? What does it do in your body? Why does menopause make so much cortisol? And it makes it more powerful. The practical, simple changes that lower cortisol and help your body release fat again. And make sure you stay with me, because in a moment, I'm going to explain why some of the things you've been told to do, like HIIT workouts, pushing harder, eating less, sweating more, and actually they make the cortisol worse for women in menopause. Let's start with the basics. Step 1. What cortisol does in the menopause body. You've probably heard cortisol called the stress hormone, and that's true. But that doesn't mean it's bad. Cortisol is designed to help you. It helps you wake up in the morning, it helps you to respond to danger, it regulates your metabolism, it controls cravings, and it manages inflammation. It helps you stay focused, have more stable energy. So cortisol is actually helpful. The problem is when cortisol stays elevated all the time. And for women in perimenopause and menopause, this happens very easily. Here's why. As estrogen begins to decline, whether you're in your late 40s or 50s or beyond, your body becomes far more sensitive to cortisol. Meaning, small stresses feel bigger, worry hits harder, sleep interruptions increase, irritability spikes, belly fat becomes easier to gain, cravings become harder to resist. Have you ever had that moment where you're exhausted, like genuinely physically tired, but your brain feels wired? Like your body wants to sleep, but your mind just won't shut off? That's cortisol. And for menopausal women, that tired but wired state is extremely common. Hormonal changes make cortisol more reactive, harder to regulate, and quicker to spike. And once cortisol stays up, it can create what many women call the menopause belly. Fat stored right around the midsection, even when your food and workouts haven't changed. Now, here is the part most women don't realize. You can be eating clean, walking, doing classes, tracking calories, and still not lose weight if cortisol is chronically high. And that brings us right into the next step. Step number 2, why high cortisol blocks fat loss, especially over 50. Let's talk about exactly how cortisol affects fat loss during menopause, because this is the missing piece for so many women. Number 1, cortisol increases belly fat storage. When cortisol is elevated, your body stores fat around the organs, right at the waistline. This is survival biology, and during menopause, this response becomes stronger. Number 2, cortisol increases cravings, especially sugar and carbs. If you've ever felt like you lose control at night or you crave quick energy after a stressful day, that's cortisol destabilizing your hunger hormones. Ghrelin, your hunger signal, spikes. Leptin, your fullness signal, drops. So, number 3, cortisol makes you hold on to fat even when you are in a calorie deficit. This is part no one teaches women. Now, you can be eating well, you can be exercising, you can be trying really, really hard, and cortisol will still blunt fat loss because your body is in protective mode. Number 4, cortisol lowers energy and motivation. Do you ever wake up feeling like you slept but you're not rested? Do you hit an afternoon crash? Do you feel overwhelmed by things that used to, feel easy? That's cortisol. And when energy is unpredictable, sticking to a routine becomes so much harder. Number 5, cortisol breaks down muscle tissue. This one is huge for menopausal women. As estrogen declines, you're already losing muscle 2 to 4 times faster than before, when cortisol is high on top of that. So you lose muscle, your metabolism slows, your fat loss gets harder, your body composition worsens, and this is why some women feel like their body shape is changing even though their weight stays the same. Number 6, cortisol wrecks sleep, and poor sleep raises cortisol even more. It's a vicious cycle. Sleep drops, cortisol rises, sleep gets worse, and the belly fat appears even when you are trying to lose it. So now that we understand the problem, let's get into what you can actually do in simple, realistic steps that work with your menopausal biology. The next part is where everything begins to change. Step number 3, how to lower cortisol. This is a menopause-specific strategy that works. We're going to walk through these in simple steps, so pay close attention, especially to the workout section, because that's one of the biggest mistakes menopausal women make. Let's start with the foundation. A, fix your sleep with the 3-2-1 method. If you fix your sleep, you fix cortisol. And one of the fastest ways to do this, especially for menopausal women, is the 3-2-1 rule. 3 hours before bed, no food. The body needs to wind down, not digest dinner, in overdrive. Sleeping on a full stomach keeps cortisol elevated. 2 hours, number 2, before bed, no drinking large amounts of water. Nighttime bathroom trips disrupt sleep cycles. And even tiny sleep interruptions push cortisol higher the next day. 1 hour before bed, no screens. Blue light kills melatonin, your sleep hormone. If melatonin is low, cortisol stays high, and this is one of the biggest contributors to I'm exhausted, I cannot fall asleep. But during that final hour, choose stretching, journaling, meditation, reading, breathing exercises, a warm bath, magnesium biglycinate. Women notice results with this, doing these things within a few nights. Better sleep is lower cortisol, which leads to easier fat loss. B, learn to regulate your nervous system during the day. You can't eliminate stress. You're a mother, you're a partner, you're a business owner, a leader, a caregiver. Life is busy. But you can teach your body how to reduce cortisol after it spikes. This is where the tools, this is what the tools look like. Deep breathing, meditation, journaling, through stress, guided calming videos, pausing before reacting. Short mental breaks become incredibly powerful. Try them. Here's a simple breathing pattern that lowers cortisol fast. Inhale 4 seconds, hold 2 seconds, exhale 6 seconds. Long exhales tell your nervous system you're safe. Cortisol drops, you think clearer, you stop the emotional spiraling, you stop stress eating, and here's something women rarely hear. You are not crazy for being more stressed during menopause. Declining estrogen removes natural cortisol buffer, meaning things that never used to bother you, well, they suddenly feel overwhelming. The good news, your nervous system can absolutely be trained to handle stress better. And when you do, fat loss becomes dramatically easier. C, adjust your workouts in midlife. This is a game changer. I cannot overstate this enough. Most women during menopause are doing the wrong types of workouts for fat loss. HIIT classes, boot camps, spin classes, circuit training, high intensity anything. 5 to 6 days a week. These spike cortisol aggressively, and if your cortisol is already high, which it usually is, this shuts down fat loss. You cannot burn belly fat with workouts that elevate the very hormone causing belly fat. So what should you do instead? Strength training, 2 to 3 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes. This builds muscle, lowers cortisol, raises metabolism, improves insulin sensitivity, and improves bone density. You can do walking. Now, this is one of the best exercises for menopausal fat loss. It lowers stress, and it is low stress and has a high return. You can do low impact cardio, incline treadmill, light cycling, Pilates. These support cortisol reduction, better recovery, consistent energy, fat mobilization, better sleep. And when you work with your hormones instead of against them, the results become so much faster. D, eat in a way that supports hormones and lowers cortisol. Menopausal women often undereat, especially protein, because they've been taught less is better. But here's the truth. Undereating leads to raising cortisol, and eating enough protein stabilizes cortisol. So balanced meals reduce cravings. Proper fueling leads to increased fat burning. Protein is especially important because it keeps you full. It prevents muscle loss. It stabilizes blood sugar. It lowers cortisol. And no, protein does not turn into body fat unless you overeat on it. It's almost biologically impossible to store protein as fat unless you're eating an outrageous amount. Now, if you've been eating light, clean, or barely anything and still not losing weight, it's not your fault. It's cortisol, very likely. Fueling properly is one of the fastest ways to bring cortisol back into balance. E, supplements that can help, but only after the basics. This knowledge base outlines supplements that can support cortisol balance, including ashwagandha, magnesium biglycinate, rhodiola, maca, reishi mushroom. And here's the thing, supplements are not the fix. They are the support. Think of them as the polishing cloth, not the engine repair. The real fixes are sleep, stress regulation, strength training, protein, low impact workouts, and you get the foundation right, and the supplements will become way more effective. All right, let's wrap this up so everything clicks into place. So you now know cortisol becomes more powerful as estrogen declines. High cortisol makes belly fat easier to gain, and cortisol increases cravings. It blocks fat loss, even if you're eating clean. Poor sleep raises cortisol. HIIT workouts spike cortisol. Strength training and walking will lower cortisol. Breathing, journaling, and meditation all help regulate your nervous system. Protein and proper fueling stabilize cortisol. Supplements can support the process, and this is why fat loss feels so much different after 45. And this is why your old methods stop working, and this is why belly fat feels impossible even when you're trying hard. And now you know exactly how to change it. Now, if you found this helpful, subscribe for more videos that make your midlife weight loss simple, doable, and actually sustainable.